we're gonna come down onto our mat, onto our backs to work a little bit of core. So you're gonna lay down, you draw the knees into the chest, you're gonna give yourself a squeeze, a little rocking. You just take a couple of breaths. Knees come in, arms go out. Draw those thighs together a little bit. Lower back presses down a little bit. And right away, you just feel everything kind of draw in the front. You're gonna just tip those knees over towards the left. You're gonna go as far as you can without touching down. So you're just giving it a hover. And as you hover, you start to feel side waist muscles, low belly muscles. If you feel those ribs popping out, you're gonna feel it in the lower back, so keep your tail drawing towards your heels. Lift it back up. And then over to the other side. Again, just as far as you can go without touching down, giving it a stretch, giving it some breath. Right, you're not holding your breath, you're moving with your breath, or letting the breath move through the body as you scan for muscles that are waking up and turning on. Inhale back up through the center, and over to the left again. And inhale up. Exhale over to the right. Take an extra breath there. Inhale, center. Over to the left. You're going to travel side to side at your own pace. Keep the knees drawn in. As best you can, you're going to try and draw those thighs together and stay with your breath. Back in through the center. You're going to send the legs up straight, give a little point and a flex to the feet. And then over to the left and pause. And up through the center and over to the right. Same motion, legs will come down, feet will come down. Try to keep the legs together, side to side. Go slowly enough, but at your own pace. Slowly enough so that you feel what's happening and where it's happening in the torso. Right, you want to be able to control how the torso responds by not letting the legs go too far. When the legs go too far and kind of whack the torso out of alignment, so your ribs pop out and you come into your lower back, you don't want that. Kind of moving down here on the mat. A couple more times. Back through the center, draw the knees in, give yourself a squeeze, a little rocking. If, like me, you moved, scoot back on your mat. Hands are going to come underneath the hips this time. And you'll lift the legs back up. You're going to cross the ankles and start moving the heels down towards the floor. And keep crossing and bring them back up. Ribs are going to stay in the whole time. So if you find them popping out, don't go any lower. Couple more times. Breathing. And then knees into the chest again. Give it a squeeze. Little circles. Big circles. And then rock yourself up to seated. You're going to keep your feet on the mat and lift up nice and long through the spine. So you might feel your hip flexors tightening and contracting. Try and relax there for a moment. And then bring some more length into the torso, lifting up. Hands will come forward. You're going to lean back a little bit. Notice when you lean back, if it's all in your hip flexors, come back up, soften them a little bit. because you want to come back into your torso rather than into your inner hips. So the ribs draw in. Get as long as you can in the torso, as broad as you can in the collarbones, arms forward. You're going to turn to the right and just pause. Maybe make a little pointer finger, right? A little traction there. Back in through the center and lift, and then over to the left. And lean back and pause. Back up through the center and over to the right. Back up through the center and over to the left. And then at your own pace, just maybe 3 more times. Broad across the collarbones. And back up. Let's flop down, bring the knees out. Just give yourself a little swaying, flopping. Hands can even come to the inner hips if you feel really tight in the hip flexors. And then all the way back up and around. You can bring your hands down onto the mat. Actually, your forearms are going to come down onto the mat. You're going to interlace your hands. Tuck that bottom pinky inside so you're flush on the outside of the hands. Bring the shoulders or the elbows under the shoulders and then step back. Forearm plank. You want to push into the mat to lift the shoulders away. You're going to notice if the tail is spiking or sinking. You're going to draw the tail back towards the heels, and we're going to take 5 deep breaths. Just gaze forward in front of the knuckles. Keep pressing into the mat to lift. Feel the inseam of the legs. Pull those heels back, but hug in through the center, tail towards the heels. Last breath. Bring the knees down and in. Walk the hands back to sit back onto the heels. Just give yourself a pause. We're just going to do that one more time for 5 breaths. So you can drop your knees down at any time, right? If those hips are spiking or sinking. So walk the hands forward again, interlace the fingers, step the feet back, forearm plank. Hugging those ribs in, pushing the forearms down. Spread across the collarbones though, and draw the tail back. Last breath in. The knees come in and down, and walk yourself back up to sit onto your heels. We're going to integrate the core into some upper body strength for our last pose here and really connect all the way down to our toes. So you're just going to come forward, hands, fingers spread, hands will come down this time. You're going to step into a plank pose with your feet wide. You're going to spin both heels, you press down into the mat, right? Collarbones broad. Heels go over to the left, both of them. Stagger your feet and then lift through the right arm. Into a side plank. Tail towards the heels. Give it a breath. Press into the mat and lift. Bring the right hand down, lift through the center, and then over to the right. With the heels lifting through the left arm. Press into the mat, lift away from it. Hand comes back down. Bring the knees into table. Give yourself a breath. And a breath out. Close the eyes. Maybe start to move into your cat-cow, just to find a rhythm to the breath. And this is where this sequence will end. And as you breathe a few more times, maybe 5, maybe 10 more rounds in your cat-cow breath, working through the spine, you're going to choose what comes next.